So we come to the end. This is the second of the 8-minute battles. Which I tried to focus on like different characters in this one, the first one. Although you still do get a couple of moments. You get one more hook, one last hook murder before the end.
Woo!
Um,
That's what we're all here for.
yeah. He always seems to take down some sort of giant monster, so I wanted to get him like one last bit like that before the series finished.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Woo! Look at him, very Sinbad. That's the best. I love it. It's so Devil May Cry. I love it.
Yeah. Screw Eyes, my boy Screw Eyes.
Sorry, you go on. You go on.
This, I should say, this was not me. This was yet again Math, who did like most of the Acolyte bits for me, because he was the one who brought back some of the characters and decided who to bring back. So I think I decided on Magicka and possibly Skeleton King. Oh, and the Lich. Maybe it was, yeah. Maybe he came up with the idea to bring back Scar, I think. Possibly Magicka.
He added in Toa as well, who shows up pretty prominently. Yes.
Who I thought was dead. And he was like, well, we never actually saw her die. She just kind of fell. So he brought her back for this finale. And I do kind of like this little dynamic she has with the Horn King, where they're like a team in this battle. I think that's kind of a relationship they have there.
Yeah, I'm glad we got like very last minute 2017 DuckTales in there. It's a show that I feel got a little big for its britches when it tried really big overarching plots, but there's a lot of episodes I genuinely really adore. So I'm glad it got a little last second representation. I think of like just a graveyard of shows we didn't quite get a chance to use, like your Star Versus, The Horses of Evil, Amphibia, Owl House potentially.
Yeah.
And they're all in that same era, but Magicka got to like slip in, and I'm pretty glad for that.
Yeah, she's the last sort of new villain who appears in this series, and I think it's a fitting like final choice.
Yeah.
I'm also really glad that I got the Lich in there, because he's one of my favorites from Adventure Time. And he seemed like perfectly suited to this group.
He really does. Yeah, he's kind of another Horn. I wonder if there's some backstory in there of him and Horn King being related somehow.
That would be cool. Yeah, they do have this rivalry going on throughout, and it's nice that Horn King is the one who brings him down at the end. There was some additional stuff in here which I actually ended up cutting, like not as a testament or like a criticism as to the quality, but I just felt like certain bits of this fight were going on for a bit too long. And like we'd done the Acolyte stuff there, and I felt like we needed to get back to what the other characters were doing.
I think that's reasonable.
But it had the dinosaur from Fantasia in it. So I will put some of these up as like deleted scenes at some point so you can see them.
Yeah. Are these Cthulhu's from Ghostbusters?
Yes, this is meant to be like the Cthulhu from what's he from? From H.P. Lovecraft, I guess.
From cosmic horror, the genre.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I wasn't sure what to say then. From the Call of Cthulhu.
Just a big big headline: Disney versus non-Disney villain casts Cthulhu. Like
the Cthulhu. So Cthulhu was actually featured in part 1 in like a flashback to the old ones. I'm going to say this is a lesser Cthulhu and not the Cthulhu. This is just like some sort of descendant that Professor Screw Eyes summons.
Interesting.
I'm glad Shredder fighting Cthulhu. What more do you want in your finale?
Yeah. It does make a lot of sense that Screw Eyes is like a big Lovecraft fan.
Yeah, I imagine he's really into his Lovecraft. He's got a copy of the Necronomicon lying around.
Yeah.
Everybody helps.
What does happen to Screw Eyes in the epilogue? I wasn't super clear on that.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Screw Eyes I was never quite sure what to do with Screw Eyes, and he was always going to escape and like have a line where he was like, "Time for me to run away and live to fight another day." But I couldn't find any footage of him walking away. It just didn't work. And like, how am I going to pull this off? He's just going to be standing there in a crowd of people going, "Bye."
Just a line of dialogue that's like, "Time to use my emergency escape cloak birds who will coat me and as I leave." Like,
yeah, I have to go now. My home planet needs me. But at one point, I wanted Cruella to mow him down in her car, but I couldn't find any suitable footage for that. Like, he was going to be trying to leave, and she's just like, "Screw eyes!" And she just like plows him over with the car.
Well, if we had recovered, there's Ramses dying. Sad story.
Death of Ramses.
And Ken Mansley's like, "I can take it."
Yeah, he puts on a brave front at this point. Then he goes off to cry by himself after the battle. Like,
screw our country! I want to live.
Yeah. Tremaine's death was one that was like, well, she doesn't die, but the fate of Lady Tremaine was always like one of those things I couldn't really decide upon. At one point, she was going to be eaten by her own zombies. That seemed very grim. And at one point, Kent was going to be eaten by the zombies as well, and they were going to die together. And I was like, this is a bit too dark. But I didn't know what to do with her. And in the end, I was like, Limbo, she can go to Limbo. Every character goes to Limbo.
I don't think it could have turned out better, because I cackle at the choice you make to display that in the epilogue.
That's my favorite bit in the epilogue. This is the return of One Winged Angel from round 1 as well.
Oh, yeah.
The version for the Final Fantasy VII remake. So they had time to do an entire remake of Final Fantasy VII while we were doing this series.
I love it. I hope this isn't too nitpicky. I couldn't help but notice that you cropped the beer out of Mock's teleportation. Did you just feel it was inappropriate for the occasion?
Yes.
Like, this is not a time for...
I like how quickly he just gets rid of Dr. Facilier at this point.
I was surprised that that's where we went. I thought Facilier would defeat him again.
No. I wanted like Mock to... One of the things I wanted him to do was like just outwit all of his main enemies by the end. Even if he loses, like he gets the last laugh against Stalker and Facilier.
Yeah. I think it's what he deserves.
Did you pick up on the fact that is not Hercules dialogue that I used there?
I was initially first distracted by the power ring gone forever.
You just... Gone forever!
Did you pull... what was this James Woods audio from?
It was from a movie with him and Sylvester Stallone. Where he's the bad guy, and he just a wonderful performance. But I was like, James Woods has got to have done a movie where he swears at someone. So that was what I went for.
This is a good idea of a clip to use for Mock's more definitive demise.
Yeah. Again, like Mock's demise went through a few different stages, and Chris, who voices Mock, actually recorded like some alternate lines for his death. Like one where he's very sort of accepting and he's like, "See you in hell, you bastards." And I thought like Mock is ultimately a character who cannot cope with like being defeated. Like his ego will not allow it. And I felt like if he was going to die, he has to go down like screaming like a fucking crazy person because he cannot comprehend the fact that he is lost. And I felt like that was... Yeah, I needed like the big scream. It needed to be a bit more satisfying, I think, for the audience.
I agree. I'm glad that, because I see both sides, but I think that's like the more thorough understanding of the character, is that his ego is so consuming that loss in of itself is worse than death.
Yeah, he just cannot cope with like the very idea. Did you realize that all these characters are on the mothership here, by the way?
Yes, yeah.
I'm glad, because I was worried people would not understand that.
You convey that very well. I was hurtled into deep space.
Yes. Skeletor, not a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, everybody on board this one ship, I've got a plan. Maybe you should have stayed on the ground, Skeletor.
Reminds me of the bus in the American Dad episode where all the incidental characters are on it and they all
Oh, yeah.
crash.
Um,
This Chernobog cowering from the light always gets me too, because I think is it Bella Lugosi who modeled for the character?
is it? I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm pulling that. It was someone I know they traced over a real person for Chernobog, and there's just a lot of like humanity to the way he poses and the way he looks at this point. It's kind of hard to articulate, but it's always been really cool to me. Like, oh, I can definitely see where that's a person and how they like really artfully made that into a demon receding back into slumber.
Yeah, he's very elegant, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
And kind of a sort of pitiable character at this point in the series, I think, because he never gets his big moment. He's just used and abused by Mark when he finally gets free, and then before he can actually do anything, he's just like imprisoned again.
I always did love the Disney versus Marvel interpretation where he was written to have lost his wings and he became a Minotaur character from Hercules. Represent. I always really liked just let him be a little more active. I always thought that was such a cool thing.
Yeah, I wish they'd do more with Chernobog.
Yeah, this part's sad. Music choice here. It's like everyone's just so tired.
Yeah, I wanted it to a nice bit of sort of a catharsis at the end, I think, where you see that was meant to be Cobra Commander being like, "Get Stockman on board the plane." I don't know how well.
What a bro!
Yeah, he likes Stockman. Cobra Commander does not like many people, but he likes Baxter Stockman for some reason. Even Maleficent is kind of sad that she's lost her apprentice.
Yeah. And doesn't Stockman say like, is this ever going to end? Like, there's nothing definitive to say there's not going to be, like, this isn't my way of saying there's going to be a part 4, but for these characters, for all we know, they're going to be fighting again before too long. They're all just so exhausted, and I really like that note.
Yeah, everyone's had enough at this point, I think. So our ultimate winner of the series here is Maleficent. So do you remember at one point Jafar was going to be the ultimate winner?
Yeah. But I think he's such a heel, even among other villains, that's pretty suiting that he just ends up banished somewhere.
Yeah, I think, well, certainly Jafar in this particular series.
Yeah.
Like you can certainly do different things with Jafar, but throughout DV&D canon, he has been like a treacherous backstabber who you can't really trust, and who doesn't particularly play well with others. Whereas Maleficent, definitely a team player. She gets everyone on side. And everyone's kind of happy at the end.
Yeah.
With that
she could have just killed Abismal, but look, he gets his dues.
He gets the hat. He gets his witch wife.
Heck yes. Who could ask for anything more?
Yeah, that sort of. I remember that just being like a throwaway joke at some point, and I was like, they should end up together at the end.
It's cute.
I like to imagine that Harud is the one who's actually in charge, and Maleficent just sent him there and was just like, "You're actually in charge, but just let him think that he is."
Yeah. This is also cute, Lawrence and Anastasia.
Yeah, I don't know if that relationship really has any potential, but I think ultimately they're both sort of like abused henchmen. They've been forced into that marriage. I don't know whether they actually love each other or not, but I think, the potential there.
Yeah.
And here's Baxter Stockman's happy ending.
Knowing the episode that's from, I got like a vague fight or flight just from the clip, but I'm glad in our context he's cool. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. Cobra Commander financed that technology for him.
Yeah.
He gets an eye raise from the Baroness. That's the most. That's the most Cobra Commander gets. The most affection he gets the entire series.
The Snively clip that like made waves in the Sonic community for years because the series never continued.
Yeah. I was unsure whether Nosferatu was going to survive either. And then I was like, well, maybe he should do. Because the Unicron head blasts off. And they were inside the head controlling the rest of it. So there you go.
Yeah. So he's not going to be up to much trouble.
This is like Frollo's happy ending. He goes off to do the reconstruction effort with Father Anderson.
Yeah, it's about time. We never once cover who rebuilt after the first Battle of France, so I think they're just now getting to it.
Yeah, France is just a desolate wasteland at this point. So
Who
Horn
is the
King becomes ruler of the underworld. What were you going to ask me then?
is someone in particular soul number 50,000,001, or is that just like a neat bit?
Oh, that's just a bit, yeah. You can be whoever you want it to be.
Mechanicles, just Jeff Bezos's Greece.
Terrifying the people of Greece with his drones. So yeah, this is Cruella coming to do a prisoner exchange. Being like, hey, I've captured Professor Screw Eyes. Do you want to do a trade? She gets Horace and Jasper out, who have been in prison for like 8 years.
They're wonderful.
On very like minor petty crimes.
They fought Hawk Fu and got caught in the wrong place and have been in prison for all those years since then.
I like to think it's just because Cruella was like, yeah, sure, I'll pay you bail. And she never came in. And then she was transported to another dimension. So Horace and Jasper have just been there like, well, she said she was coming.
She walks in today like, you were in prison.
Boys, I'm finally here. I've traveled the cosmos. She had no money.
They exchange a glance like, you fought who with a pitchfork in another universe?
Fought in Freddy Krueger, she says, Horace.
That footage in particular of Rasputin is so cathartic for me, because that was like the clip of him walking up to Queen Grimhild in round 2, and it just felt like such a nice bookend.
Yeah, they share a palace, Rasputin and Rothbard, at the end.
Yeah.
Double R force. Deprived
Rest
of their
in peace.
third triple. Yeah.
I think we could bring him back to life, and they're just like, I don't think so. Shendu rules China.
Yeah, I'm glad Shendu gets a good ending.
Yes.
This is my favorite bit.
Oh, so good.
Do shut up. I like Lady Tremaine's fate is worse than death in that she is trapped in a lifeless void listening to Drizella sing the rest of all eternity.
I love this part too. Was this a shout out for Evan?
Yes, it was. And I've wanted a character trapped in a mirror for so long. Do you remember my obsession with people being trapped in that mirror?
There were I can think of like a Uzai was in there.
Yeah.
There's probably at least I feel like maybe Frollo was reaching out from hell through a mirror in some early drafts, but yeah.
So yeah, finally got. I was like, well, it can be like a Horcrux type thing. She's found a way to come back through the mirror.
This is your roommate.
You know Morgana. I like that she's just kept Morgana on ice for all these years, even when Skeletor took over the palace. Like, Merman must have been like, "Why is this woman frozen in ice? just keep her there. It's fine."
I don't like it. All right.
This is
Surely everyone in the Skeletor ship is going to have a wacky sitcom, like, where they try to find their way home.
Waiting for that rescue ship. I'm going to go back to Nordor. And that's the end.
Here we are. Martin, that was phenomenal. That was so great. I just I can't help but wonder what happened to Fang from Gargoyles.
He's in a retirement home with Hannibal McFist and
Gotcha.
John Bowley.
Trader Slick is there.
Trader Slick should have had a cameo. Should have brought him back.
He's selling real estate now that the world is back to, and he just gives everyone their new palaces.
Maybe that's it. There we go. Canonized.
There we go.
Who was the other character I was going to... Aunt Fig was going to be in there. Maybe she still will be. At the time of recording this, I've just reminded myself that I was going to do a bit with her, so I might still put it in.
To do Aunt Fig and Robotnik in the Mushroom Realm.
Amphibian was going to come back. I wrote a scene with Amphibian where he's doing like a news report after Chernobog gets loose. he's like, "This is Amphibian reporting live as hell opens up and swallows us all." And like halfway through, he was just going to be attacked by like this monster, and he was just going to be like, "Oh fuck!" And that was going to be the last thing you saw of Amphibian, like just mid sentence.
I don't think there's anything better that describes like why we work so well as a team, is because I would have a really wild idea and you would be like, let's bring it down to like a 7, and it would work real. Because I remember my first idea was that we would do a news report with our friend Freeman as a live action cameo, and you were like, let's maybe have them voice a character. Like,
I have no memory of that at all.
And that's how they voiced Snapper Carr.
Good old Snapper Carr.
Yeah, everyone's favorite.
Replaced unceremoniously with Amphibian because there was no more Snapper Carr footage to use. Did you enjoy the credits? I shamelessly stole the Avengers end credits theme, but I think it worked because it was so grand.
It's so good. It's rightfully triumphant.
I got
a little emotional first time I watched this, that's for sure.
I'm glad. This is I think I kind of did too, yeah. I'm weirdly like OCD about the order of the credits as well. I'm still looking at some of them going, oh, he shouldn't have been ahead of that character. But I did like, I'm glad I settled on like the final few here who get the like 2 shots each. They were like the major characters.
Yeah. What a ride. I can't believe we're wrapped. It's been 10 years and it's, gosh, like what else can you say? It's good. It's great. It's delightful.
Yeah, hopefully people like it. I've just realized the top 4 members of the cast are all dead. That's a grim thought. Mid credits.
Rachel as her back must hurt after carrying the entire female cast.
I tried to rank this by who voiced the most characters. That was my logic on the ordering of the cast at the end here. But yeah, I always do like a bit where someone is revealed to be alive. I think that's one of my trademarks at this point.
Amphibian.
So yeah, at the end it was Stalker is still out there somewhere.
I know. We originally wasn't Stalker gonna like rule hell for a while. Yes. I think we gave that to the Horned King.
Yeah, he was. No, Horned King ruled the underworld.
Oh yeah, hell and underworld are different. I forgot.
Hell is a mystery to you at this point. I know who's in charge of hell.
Amphibian?
It's not Amphibian. Maybe I'll tell you. Maybe you'll find out when the round uploads.
Oh,
maybe there's one final surprise for you